Hi guys, it's Sav here. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make 100% whole grain bread. This recipe takes about just 3 hours to make from start to finish. The crumb is soft and slightly chewy. Keep watching and I'll show you guys what you'll need. Into my stand mixer, I'm adding in 2.5 cups of hot water. To that hot water, I added in 1/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil and 2 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, and also 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup. Stir this mixture well, and now I'm going to add in 2 cups of hard red wheat flour. We want this hot water to cool down a bit before we add in our yeast. So we're going to mix some of that in and allow this mixture to rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. In goes 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast. Then you want to place your dough hook attachment onto your mixer, and then turn your mixer on to stir and allow this to kind of come together just for about 30 seconds or so. This large bowl here, I have 2¼ cups of white wheat flour, 1 cup of ground steel cut oats, and 1/4 cup of vital wheat gluten. You want to dump all of this goodness into your stand mixer. Now you can do this all by hand. It's just a tad bit more messier and I don't feel like getting too messy today. So you want to go ahead and turn your mixer on to stir. I'm going to run this for about 40 seconds or so, just until it starts to come together a bit, and then I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of sea salt. And then it's really important to have extra white wheat flour on hand because you will need to add more, 1/4 cup at a time, just until you want it to remain kind of wet and slightly tacky. Do not put too much flour. That's why I say 1/4 cup at a time. I probably ended up adding in 3/4 cup extra. This step is very important for whole grain bread. If you want it to stay soft and be fluffy and not dense, you have to make sure that your dough remains sticky and slightly wet. You know when the dough is ready when it starts to clump up under the dough hook and it's no longer sticking to the side, so it should be sticking to the hook. You want to flour up your hands and take off some of that dough from the attachment, and then place that dough onto a well-floured surface. You want to add additional flour as needed, but again, less is more when you're making whole grain bread. So you just want to bring all this together. It doesn't need to be a perfect round solid ball, just until it's kind of, I don't know, one big lump, because again, it is kind of wet. Next, we're going to use that same stand mixer bowl that we used before, just clean it up a bit, and I'm going to spray in some coconut oil spray. I'm going to add my dough back into that mixing bowl. You want to spray over that one more time, and then cover it with a piece of saran wrap and make sure that you press it down onto the dough to help ensure that a crust does not develop. And you want to allow this to double in size, which should take only about 30 minutes. While our dough is rising, I'm going to show you guys what I do with my loaf pans. I like to spray them with some coconut oil spray, and then I fit in a piece of parchment paper. This is just so that the bread comes out with ease and it's perfect. Alright, so it's been about 30 minutes. As you can see, it's doubled in size. Do not walk away because you can overproof this. So I'm going to lightly flour my work surface one more time. I place my dough onto my work surface, and now I'm doing the fold over method. You don't want to punch down your dough, but kind of poke at it and then fold it up and over itself. Flatten it out with your palms. Then you want to fold it over again, flatten it out, and then keep folding it up and over itself until it's formed a ball one more time, about the same size as it was before it doubled in size. You want to cut your dough in half, and while you're working with one, you want to place the other one underneath a clean dish towel. Lightly flour your work surface again. You want to lightly flour your rolling pin, and you want to roll this out into, I don't know, about an 8 by 14 inch rectangle or so, just large enough to fit in your bread pan. It doesn't need to be perfect. I like to use my hands often for this part. Finally, you want to take your dough and roll it up into a nice tight little log here. I like to tuck in the sides as I go up. And then you want to pinch to seal the seam. Take a little flour if you need to, and then go ahead and kind of roll it up or roll it onto the surface there to seal it, and then add it into your bread loaf pan, and then repeat with the other one. You want to cover these and place them in a warm, draft-free place for, I don't know, about anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. You want them nicely domed at the top, and they should reach about half an inch or so above the pan. So these are looking great, and you want to bake these in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And the crust should be nice and golden brown. And now all that's left is to let it rest for about 5 minutes, and then I like to take a spatula and run it all around the bread just to make sure it comes out nice and cleanly, even though if it's cooked all the way, yes, it should plop right out. Onto a wire rack it goes. Make sure you let it cool completely before cutting into at least 1 hour. This stays nice and fresh on your counter for up to 3 days as long as you keep it nicely wrapped up and tight. Ah, these are just so perfect.